Girl, you the bandit, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending, nothing is real. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it.
Hello, 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 everybody. We are having some technical issues today, so bear with me. Casting director January Curry will be with us momentarily soon as all of that gets worked out. But during that time, I can go ahead and update you a little bit about January Curry in case you are unfamiliar about her credits. She has worked on over 50 films and has worked as a casting director, screenwriter, producer. And some of the films she's worked on are just little small films, like Creed, nothing too big. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. She is now entering the live. Welcome, January. Thank you so much for being a guest today on the eSpot.
Hi. Thank you. Can you guys see me okay? I'm not crooked or anything, am I?
You're perfect. And I hope you're not
Okay.
holding it because I know that was one of the.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I have my tripod rigged a little different now, just real
Okay.
quick. So, we got to be able to improvise.
No, I mean, and I know as a casting director, because every casting I ever get for Selftape, they're always like, put it in landscape, not in portrait. And so usually I get it. Your tripod probably isn't even made to go in portrait mode.
It's not. So I'm going to take a picture of how I have this going, and you're going to be amazed. But yeah, I had to switch the lighting up real fast and everything. So there you go.
Like, that's the joy of film industry working. You always know how to rig things to make it work, right?
Right.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. And I find your career path so fascinating. Can you let everyone know how you got your start in casting?
Well, in casting, it's actually a very fun story. I was in film and television as a child, left to go into corporate America. And some couple years after I moved to Atlanta, I said, you know what? I'm just sick of this corporate job and I want to go back into my passion. So I actually started doing background work, started being an extra on different sets. And I met George Pierre, who is, my mentor now. I met him and I told him, I went out on a limb. I said, I'm going to be your assistant one day. And he laughed. He said, okay, sure. And it wasn't maybe 3 weeks later, he called me. I interviewed and I left my 9 to 5 and started working with him.
See, claim it and you can get it. I love that you just went up to him and was like, oh, by the way, I'll be working for you. And then 3 weeks later it happened.
It doesn't always, it definitely wasn't overnight, but it was just, what, I'm going to take a leap of faith and just say this to this man and see how he responds. He didn't curse me out. So I'm glad about that.
Now, what would you say from going from in front of the camera to behind the camera was the biggest transition you had to deal with?
I don't think for me it was because I was always just interested in all of the intricacies of film and TV. So it wasn't a big transition, but I would say the biggest thing is understanding the components of it being a business. And it's not just about the art form, but there's an entire business that makes it run behind it.
Now, for the most part, you work in extra casting, am I correct? Because
No,
IMDb
actually, I
tells me
started
one
out
thing. Okay.
No, actually, I started out in principal casting. So when I was working George Pierre's assistant, it was primarily principal casting. And because we would do a lot of projects that the budgets weren't super big, so we would do both. But what happened was I would end up doing most of the extras casting, but my background was in principal casting, and I decided to start, my extras casting company.
Oh, see, IMDb has a lot of holes in it, I would mention then in that case. So I'm curious with working from principal to extra. I know there's huge difference. For those who don't know, principal are the main characters of the film as opposed to just the background extras or the people who don't normally have lines or maybe they look like they have lines but aren't really saying anything. So what was your biggest, I guess, from going from doing principal as well as doing extra, what do you say would be your biggest difference between working from principal as well as background extras?
Well, understanding that the people that we're working with, they're very, very green. So some have, the dream of I'm going to be an extra so that I can make it big and, become a star, where some are just, they just do it in their free time. So me understanding that everyone that I worked with was not, a professional actor or had a desire to be a professional actor. So the plus is that me starting in principal casting, just understanding, I understand the entire the entire idea of what casting entails. So me
Mhm.
choosing to do background casting primarily, because I actually do principal casting as well, so not just background casting. But it's interesting because I had a lot of agents who are like, why do you want to do that? Why would you
Yeah,
want to do extras casting?
yeah.
And it was because I enjoy helping people grow. I enjoy creating the opportunities for people.
I mean, honestly, I started in extras casting or working as an extra, and it wasn't for if it wasn't for casting giving me that opportunity to become a featured extra and then working and getting a couple of lines, who knows if I would ever have made it. So I really appreciate
Yeah.
extras casting, and I think a lot of people try to skip that step with acting as far as like never working as extras, and
Hmm.
I think it makes you a lot more grateful for opportunities that are given to you after that or earned in that sense after that, but also you start realizing how different a film would be without them
Yeah.
because they're a
Yeah.
bad extra is obvious.
It does, and it gives you an opportunity to just learn set etiquette. Because
Mhm.
I cast, a lot of background casting, but I also do a lot of indie, a lot of videos, a lot of commercial casting as well. So, helping people understand, go ahead and immerse yourself on set just to understand the roles, who does what. That is important, and just getting that feel. Do you even like being on set for 16, 18 hours a day? Because
That
you
part.
may think you want to be a star, but you don't want to be on set for 18 hours a day.
That part. Like, I learned
Mhm.
that lesson as a makeup artist. I was like, "Nope, can't wait 15 hours just to see when her lipstick changes color or
Right.
when I need to reapply." I was
Exactly.
like, "Oh, no. I can't stare at anybody
Exactly.
that long. I don't care how
Right.
interesting the movie is." So, I that's a very good point also with that being that seeing if you can even handle staying on set
Mhm.
for the amount of time that you need it.
Yeah.
Now, with the film industry is gonna change so much with after this pandemic is over and filming has started. I don't know if filming has started where you are yet or if you've started hearing anything about filming opening back up. Have you yet?
Well, I actually just cast a music video, so I did the principal casting for that. There's little things here and there, but as far as the larger projects, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet at all. Mm-mm.
Okay. And is there going to be a lot of changes you think as far as extras? Because I've seen different things come out where they're talking about having less extras being part of the film or being part of the reason trying to protect the crew and staff is maybe lessening background extras and so on. What are your thoughts about that?
They have no choice but to make changes. There's no way around it as far as just keeping, the cast and crew safe. There's no way. I'm on hold with an indie film I'm doing all the principal casting for, and we're literally just at a standstill because we don't know what type of changes are going to have to be made in order to make everyone feel safe. So there's no way around, those changes as far as either minimizing the number of, background, or just looking at as far as shooting days, even with the cast, you may not be able to have, your entire cast there on set in one day because you won't have the trailers to hold them, or the catering isn't big enough. So there's going to have to be changes.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how those changes are going to end up panning out and how they'll be able to make a film with
Yeah.
so many different ways you can get, I guess, and contact people there, whether it's through wardrobe or makeup or just being on set, and how many people are going to be considered essential to be on set or
Right.
close sets. Because I heard something about that they were going to do it a lot like nudity scenes where only the essential people are on set and
There.
everyone else will kind of
Mhm.
be in like their own video village, I guess. But I
Mhm.
don't know
Yeah.
how that's going to actually pan out for not only for the talent who has to go through all the process of makeup and wardrobe and so on, but I think for casting, one thing that's already been kind of you guys have been doing for years is a lot of castings through I'm blanking on the name right now.
Self-tapes, like
Self-tapes,
self-tape
thank
cast.
you. I'm like,
Mhm.
virtual
Yeah.
recordings. Why can't it come to
Yep.
me? So thank you. But
No.
self-taping, I mean,
Yeah.
so grateful for that opportunity that's kind of made it an even playing
Mhm.
field regardless of where you live. You can compete for different jobs. But how do you think that's going to change for you as far as the casting process, as far as callbacks or even casting films and checking for to make sure they even have that right chemistry amongst each other? Are
Well,
you gonna
the Southeast is really self-tape heavy. That's
Mhm.
not a huge thing, on the West Coast, in LA. It's not a huge thing in New York, but it's really, really big in the Southeast. So now the entire country having to go, on this self-tape frenzy. I think when it comes down to the callbacks, it may be something, like this, like they may have to do a Zoom callback, or, if the callback is just with the casting director and the director, making it a very small, number of people that they're bringing in. So I think that that self-tape is a skill in itself, being an actor, being able to self-tape. So it's not necessarily new to me on the second round, and it will be like, how are we going to? That's a dilemma that we're facing right now with this indie film. How are we going to bring back our leads to see, to do chemistry reads and things like that? So,
Because I think a lot of people don't realize how much of casting is visual as well, just to make sure they even size up right or
yeah.
look like real family. Because people send headshots that weren't made in the same decade
Oh,
sometimes.
definitely.
so,
Definitely.
so
Just
what?
did
Yeah.
a workshop, a
Okay.
headshot workshop. We're actually doing another one this weekend with IFM Collab, and it is all about your headshot because it's visual.
Right.
This is a visual field.
Yeah.
So, and the most important thing we were talking about in there is making sure that you have a slate shot,
Mhm.
because your headshot is not going to really depict how you look today. We need to see a slate shot with just you standing there with your slate. So those are it's super important.
What are some more tips that you would give for actors who are possibly maybe this is their first time self-taping, or maybe they've been doing it for years but doing it wrong, or some tips that you or some
Mhm.
things that you've seen are kind of pet peeves as a casting director, like why are they doing this still, that you could tell the masses right now and share as far as things they should not do?
I would say the biggest thing, the one thing you should do is watch other people's self tapes.
Hmm.
If you have some actor friends that are booking, ask them if you can see their auditions. Ask them, can you see what they're doing? Because a lot of times, even, no matter what role we're in, we're not studying the other people that are in our field enough.
Okay.
Why are they getting the job? Why are they getting the audition? Just even with casting, we reach out to other casting directors all the time just to listen, because our perspectives are all different. So I say the biggest thing to do is to watch other people's self tape and utilize the fact that we have YouTube right at your hands that you could, you know, go to and get tips from. Think about it, 30 years ago, we didn't have that
Mhm.
opportunity.
Not at all.
So that would be the biggest thing. And my biggest pet peeve, Camille, I would say, is people that don't take the time to understand what a self tape actually looks like.
Okay.
It takes 30 seconds again just to go to YouTube. How should I have my lighting set up? What should be in the background? Having a reader off camera. Those simple tips, the simple things to do, and people still do it wrong. I don't understand it.
Well, I'm glad you brought up about reader, because one of I think some of the problems that some of us actors have is that we're practicing safe distancing, and so maybe
Hmm.
we're not, married to an actor like myself, and don't really have someone that they can have as a reader. What suggestions do you have for people who possibly wanna audition but don't have access to a reader to help for them to read with, or
Yeah.
do
Or
they?
even now, like they can't get out to get to a professional self taping
Right.
service. I've seen some innovative things that I've given, points, cool points, so to speak, just for doing this. People have recorded the other lines on their phone or on another device and played them back while they're during their audition, that part. Or they've called people on the telephone. I can tell, during the tape, if they're on the phone, which I think it was innovative, it was smart. I'm not going to pass up this audition because I don't have a reader. I'll just call my friend who is an actor, and here I'll email you, the sides, which,
Yeah.
that may not work in, the real world, I should say, minus COVID-19, but it
Mhm.
was innovative to me, and it showed me that, oh yes, this person is actually taking the effort to send in a good audition. So that happens all the time.
Okay, good to know, because I've never thought of that, so I'm glad I asked
Yeah.
that question. Now, now there's some rumors about how long casting directors actually watch auditions, anywhere from 30 seconds to 3
Hmm.
seconds.
Yeah.
How long do you really spend on an audition before you know to go to the next one?
To be honest with you, I will watch every audition.
Mm,
if I can. And I have had shows where I've had, 200 auditions come back, especially during this time, because, it's kind of trying to make it fair for more people
mhm.
to actually audition. But I will at some point watch every audition through,
Okay.
unless it's just outrageous. They had dogs barking in the background or people walking into the scene, that part.
So you
But those first few seconds,
mhm,
yes, you kind of do know whether or not this is going to be somebody that I may want to look at their take two
okay.
or go back and look at their headshots again. During those first few seconds, but I will watch every audition through because you never know. There may be a moment in there because you're an actor, so you understand with the self tapes, you're not able to get direction from the casting
Mhm.
director or feedback right there, then and there. So I try to be kind of fair and just watch the audition because there may be a moment, okay, they get it. Let me watch their second take.
Okay. So you mentioned second take. So do you suggest people send in more than one take of an audition? Or
I suggest that they follow the instructions that was given to them by the casting director.
okay.
If they're asked for more than one take, make sure you have more than one take. If they're not asked, uh, I think that it's probably okay to send both, and the casting director will probably choose which one they want. But my first thing would be follow the instructions verbatim that are
Okay.
sent.
Very good, very good. Now, I saw on some of these auditions recently that I've gone to where they're asking for follower numbers. How important is that for you moving forward with audition process? Like, do you guys really care about the social media part of their
To be perfectly honest with you, as a
okay.
casting director, I could care less. However, usually our clients care. So, because I'm also, a writer producer, I kind of usually have my producer brain on when I'm casting.
Mm, okay.
So, I'm thinking in terms of is can this person market this project, or this, whatever, this commercial, this video, whatever it is. Is this person's brand, on brand to what the client is doing? So most of the time as a casting director could care less because for us it's about the talent. We want to break the next, big talent.
Right.
So, but when it comes to the producers, usually they care.
Okay.
They care because they have to sell their film. They have to sell their show.
Yeah, it's still show business. I get that.
It is.
Now, so I have to ask all these questions about music as well, because that's got to be a completely different casting process, especially now with videos and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And dancing, I would assume, would be part of the audition process. How does that work for you with self taping for dancers in that sense? Do you have any suggestions for them? Because that's completely different than just having to only act from shoulders up, so to speak, like they have to do their full body with it. Are
Mm-hmm.
there anything you could
Well, I don't cast dancers,
okay.
so I don't cast it. There's usually for videos or any project, if there's dancers involved,
Okay.
usually there's a they'll bring on a choreographer just for that. But for the videos, I strictly deal with the talent. Usually those leads on the videos, and if there's
Okay.
any background on the videos. But I don't cast the dancers. They'll usually bring on a choreographer to bring in dancers.
Did not know that. Glad I asked.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause I mean, you may look like a great dancer to me.
that's why I was like, "Wait a minute, how does that work on
Right?
music videos?" 'Cause I know I was requested once for, a music video but it was a rap video, and in the line it said
Mhm.
something about the way you would have to dress, and I was like, "Yeah, no, that's not really my brand," but
Yeah.
for those that
But I
are,
mean, you think
you know.
about all the videos you have, that lead guy or that lead girl, and then these days, videos are it's storytelling still.
Right.
So no, I'm not casting any rump shakers. No,
I'm just like, "Do you look at twerk videos for
no
3 hours?"
twerking.
How would
Well,
you
I will
not?
tell you, I had, I cast, did the background casting for BET Tales, and there's a lot of
Ah,
episodes that there's, exotic dancers, so I did have to cast them. I
what a
did.
hard job. Oh, but wait, was it just females and males? I mean, then it's a little
No,
more
it was
fair.
females. It was females
Okay.
on every episode that we did that we had exotic dancers. That we had to actually literally go to the strip club and find the dancers for them. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's that's an interesting so speaking of that, that's another thing that's gonna be changing as far as going out to find talent. You're gonna
Mhm.
rely a lot more on just I guess, people submitting. How will that work as far, or how do you envision that working in future when you do have to get, I guess, a large group of people quickly?
Well, the great thing is we're really active on social media. So,
Okay.
and we have a database of close to a little bit over 40,000, I would say. And that's constantly growing. So we're really active on social media, and then our website. So we rely on, that, so to speak. We don't really have to go out a lot unless we're looking for something specific, like, you know, Christmas carolers, or, exotic dancers, like I stated before. Otherwise, we rely heavily on social media.
Okay. Now, any other tips you would give maybe for people who are looking to break into the film industry and maybe don't have an agent yet, but maybe they see your casting or someone? Do you suggest they still submit for background extra work, or even for principal roles if they happen to see it somewhere on like Actors Access or something?
Yeah, I would say stay focused on what it is that you want. I have a lot of people that I work with on a regular basis that want to be, working actors. So, and they tell me this, hey, January, I don't want to, do background work. And so I try to leave those opportunities open for them to be a stand in, so that if you're a stand in on this show, that doesn't keep you from possibly auditioning for it if something comes up. So I would say the main thing is keep studying, but stay focused on whatever your goal is. If you want to be a working actor, you make sure that you are in class, make sure your headshots are on point, that you obtain an agent, that you make sure any work that you're doing is still along those lines. And I'll tell people that are, still doing background work, but that want to be actors. There was one guy in particular. He emailed me. He said, Tanya, I keep submitting and you're not booking me. And I said, because you told me you wanted to be an actor. So if I book you in a group of 500 people, then I can't book you if I get a featured role that could possibly be bumped up, to principal. So I'm
Mhm.
saving you, for something special because you
Yes.
told me you wanted to be an actor. So he says, oh, I get it. Yeah. So I think just being honest, with yourself as far as what you want, and staying, steadfast in your path is the
Very
biggest
good
thing.
point. Right. Okay. Very good point.
Mhm.
Now, I'm wondering, moving forward also with everything changing because of coronavirus and the pandemic and so on, what do you see will be the biggest change that you're hoping for that will still make films pretty much pretty much similar to what they are now, but maybe like what, I mean, as far as exorcisms, because you've worked on things like the quad where it was an entire football stadium full of people sometimes. Like, how do you
Mhm.
think that's going to work for you guys? For different
I don't know, to be
yeah,
honest with
really.
you, Camille. I was
Like, I'm
sitting down
scared of all the
wondering that one.
CGI taking our jobs after I saw
Yeah,
today,
like
like, the CGI actress, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" Got
I'm
signed
like,
by
wait.
CAA.
Yeah, I was really, really, I was sitting down thinking about that, like, because I have two assistants that work with me. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, am I going to have enough work for this? Like, I was thinking about that.
Mhm.
I have no clue how they're going to
Okay.
do it. I know that, some people I can, foresee it or try to go against the grain and not, even pay attention to that because they're not making it a mandate, an order. You can't have,
Mhm.
500 people. So, I have no clue how they're going to
Mhm.
do it. Luckily we have projects, still in the fire, that are working right now to start up as soon as they can. But I don't know. I
Mhm.
have no clue how
Well,
they're going to do it.
speaking of that, what projects do you have that are coming out soon? Because I'm sure a lot of us are starting to get bored with Netflix. I know some people have said, "I've already finished Netflix for this year.
Yeah.
What's next?" So, do you have anything that's
Right.
coming up?
Well, we right before we wrapped, wrapped, I should say, in March, we were working on, a film for Lifetime. I'm also working on an indie feature, possibly for Netflix as well. So we're just waiting for that one to come up. We have a couple other TV movies that are slated to start as well. So we're all over Netflix and BET. We're all over there.
Oh, great. And I noticed that you have worked also as producer. So, what, as a producer, would you suggest also for people who are interested in maybe becoming a producer or even screenwriter? Because I forget you also
Mhm.
are a screenwriter. And I think so many people, when they go into the film industry, they may have a goal of one thing, but then after working in the industry, they start realizing, ooh, I can do this, I can do that. Like you can do multiple things within the film industry and be completely successful at it. So what are some of your suggestions for people who may be interested in becoming producers or screenwriters?
I would say the relationships, because
Okay.
I've been very blessed to have great relationships with, very established people. The relationships are the biggest thing, because I know a hindrance that you may have, like you said, coming into the industry is one thing, but as us being creatives, we're usually creative in many different forms.
Mhm.
Um, Being able to have conversations, with other executive producers or networks, that I know, and say, hey, I also do this. That is usually the scariest thing, but not being afraid to take that leap. And I say, creating your own content. Because almost you have to, Camille, you almost have to show them. You can't just tell them. You have to show them, like, oh, yep, I cast, but I can also do this. you gotta show them.
Right. Very good point.
Hmm.
Now, I'm getting a lot of emails in my comment section. I'm not really sure why, but I'm assuming they want to stay in contact with you. So, what is the best way for people to contact with you or maybe even become part of your 4,000 database to be considered for future projects?
I would say, definitely. I'm always on social media. We're really open, and that's what
Okay.
I pride, my company, Destination Casting, on being, really an open agency with it. You can reach us. My assistant Monica, the new one Janelle. You can always find us on social media. If it's Facebook or Instagram, it's just January D Curry, or Destination Casting. So social media is really, really big for us. If you would like to email headshot or resume, you can send that to info@destinationcasting.com.
Oh, let me just make sure I put that in the comments just in case. I think it's all right. Yeah, perfect. Um, Now moving forward, what is your goal in your career? What would you like to do that you haven't done yet?
I want to continue to create. That is the biggest thing for me, be it feature films, television series. So I really want to streaming network. I want to continue to create opportunities for
Mm.
people like me, that walked onto a set just as an extra and had desire to, be bigger than life. And so I want to continue to create opportunities for people.
Now,
That's my goal.
is there any type of film that you haven't worked on yet that you would be interested in working on, like an action film or period piece
Hmm.
or anything like that,
Let's
or
see.
even
We've done a couple of period pieces. So definitely, and I've done a sci-fi series when we did Superstition, but I definitely would like to do something more sci-fi.
okay.
I really enjoy sci-fi.
Oh, fun. Now, are there
I like
any actors that you haven't worked with yet that you're interested in at least seeing an audition from, or maybe you're like, I would love to see him audition for this exotic dancer. Just
what
kidding. It's
I
not a
think
casting couch. I'm joking.
I think the biggest thing is
Mhm.
the more that I get projects to cast, and just being able to create again opportunities for people to
Mhm.
be in larger roles. So I wouldn't even say someone that's already established. I would say that
Mm.
diamond in the rough. Like I love
Mm.
diamonds in the rough that people don't really know about yet, because I have a few, and if anyone's watching or that know me, that follow me, I have a few people that I use in my own projects a lot, because I
Okay.
know that they're going to be great. Like I can't wait to see them break out. So I
Oh,
would say
fun.
it's somebody that we don't know yet. That's what I would say.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, I want to make sure I'm considerate of the time because I know you're still working and it's 6:30 now. Is there anything else that you would like to share for actors, upcoming actors, writers, or producers to kind of keep them motivated during this time? I know you mentioned that you did a panel not that long ago. Do you have any other classes or anything that they could also watch or
Yeah, we have a panel this weekend. We're doing that one every other week. It's with
okay,
IFM Collab. I usually put it on my page. It's just January D Curry is my Instagram,
okay.
and I'll probably put that out tomorrow or the next day. They probably already have it on theirs. I would say, because I get it. A friend of mine and I were just talking about how you can almost feel a little bit of depression during this time. It's kind of, because we just don't know, when the projects are going to start again. We don't know, when we're going to have work again, because people just assume, that we're all okay, but we're not working either. You're
Right.
not working as an actor. We're not working as casting either. So, I would say really, really taking this time to study. That's what myself and my, colleagues have been doing. We've been taking the same, probably watching the same workshops that you guys have. Just really taking and watching those master classes and those live videos. So we've been doing the same thing. So taking the time to do that.
Now, do you have any plans on doing any contests as well? Because I know that some of the casting directors have been doing like monologue contests and different things of that nature. Do you have any plans to do anything like that as well?
We are planning to do like an open call. I'm actually a part of a monologue contest for a web series right now, and I think the deadline is this week. It's called the Trap House series, so it's a really cool kind of urban web series. So they're actually doing a create your own character monologue contest, which is really fun because people
Ah,
don't usually get a chance to do that. They get to
nice.
create the entire scene and improv it. So I'm actually doing that one now, and then we plan on doing a live open call as well.
Fun. I'll make sure I'm put all my notifications on as well as all the
Yay!
viewers should too to make sure you have all your notifications on for anything that comes out of January Curry's Instagram as well as Destination Casting on Facebook and Instagram actually. So
Yep.
you're aware of all these wonderful new things that you're doing to help actors to stay active and to stay on their talents
Yeah.
and as you said just keep studying their craft.
Mhm.
Just making sure there's not any questions because from what I
And
can
taking
see.
the time to ask questions, because we've gone live quite a few times and are just answering people's questions, which is, I think it's a really cool opportunity for us to be on platforms like this and get our questions answered. How
Mhm.
often does that happen that you can just reach out, and touch Spike Lee and just ask a question, in the feed and get it answered? That
I
never happens.
That's pretty much why I started my show because it gives me the
Mhm.
opportunity to like people like you that might have never had the chance to get in front of, but so many other people on that same accord where it's
Right.
just you really never know who you can reach to. And like
Mhm.
living in North Carolina, they don't teach a lot of classes here for acting or
Mhm.
have a lot of access to film actors. So it's like now it's an even playing field. You can find anything you want online, and even some of the big trade magazines like Variety and Hollywood Reporter will have different events with different panels as well that
For
are very
free, right?
boring. Yep, yep. It's definitely
It's
free. And
free.
sometimes I'm like, they're a little boring because they hire journalists to moderate,
Yeah.
but it's still like really good information if you can truck through it. But
Yeah.
even like all the different podcasts, like you now have the time to kind of catch up and learn everything
Mhm.
on a more global opportunity in that sense
Yeah.
because it's not just
And what
limited
should
to
we
your
say now?
location.
There's no excuses right now. None whatsoever.
Because everybody's home. Everybody.
Mhm.
Oh, here we go. Hi, January. Anastasia wanted to know how background actor can get a speaking role, one or two lines.
I would say, if they're referring to being bumped on set, and I've gotten this question before, is I would say do the job that you were asked to do. So if you were hired as a background talent, in that restaurant or as that waitress, make sure that you're that in that moment, because usually those time that being bumped on set is a creative thing and it happens last minute. So
Mhm.
it's not something that I can say if you do X, Y, and Z, it'll happen. It's more of just making sure if you're hired in whatever role you're hired in, make sure you do the best daggone job that you can in that role. Because if that is going to happen, it's totally creative, totally out of our control, something that usually happens spur of the moment, last minute. So in order to be, if you're wanting to be noticed, make sure you're doing the best job that you can in whatever role you're being hired for.
I would agree with that. There's I'm blanking on the actor's name, but he was in Blood Diamonds. And I don't even remember what platform I watched because much like you, I'm watching every live I can. And he
Mhm.
mentioned that when he was originally hired for his part on Blood Diamonds, he was just supposed to be there, just walking around, and every once in a while he had one line, I think he said, for his
Mhm.
entire time he was supposed to be on that set. Because he started saying more lines, they ended up making his part even bigger and increased
Mm.
his role, and now he's on. Gosh, I wish I could. I'll link him later because I mean he's had a career that's just trajected to a point where it's like he's on everything.
Yeah.
He's been like the CEI guy for several movies since then, but he started off being a blood diamond um
Mhm.
guy with a gun who was like yelling at all the
Oh
refugees.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm
I know
talking
exactly
about?
who you're talking about.
See, I
Yeah,
knew if
I
I
can
said
see his
enough of the
face, but I
story.
can't.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
he's
can
just
see his
got
face.
one
I
of
can't
those
think of it.
faces now where you
Yeah.
could never imagine him being the bad guy because he's always playing the
Hmm.
clean cop. I think he's even on Supergirl
And
as
didn't they say that they weren't even? They rearranged the whole thing because of
mhm.
him. He wasn't.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
I remember that.
So remember that as well. I mean, I wouldn't risk my extra job by
Yeah.
speaking when I'm not supposed to, but there's times when if you feel
Hmm.
it in your heart that you're willing to take that risk, it might be worth it because you never know. You could change the film for the better. Because
Or
he was
even in that moment, because usually, especially if it's background, the AD, the first AD is usually directing the background. You can actually even ask, is it okay if I, do this or just do, ask the question sometimes, I'm saying
yeah.
sometimes, if it's
Right.
okay. And it might just work, the director may see it and it might work. But the biggest thing, like I said, it's usually spur of the moment, last minute. Oh my God, say this. That's usually how it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that's great advice. Well,
Mhm.
I'm just making sure. Oh, yay, Rhonda Marie. Make sure you check out her comment because she posted the RSVP and everything
Oh,
for
thank you,
IFM
Rhonda.
Collaborative. She is on it. I'm going to have to start paying her because she's always right there with the information quicker than I can because I'm producing everything from here. So it's like I'll try to Google real quickly, but then I'm like, I can't see you at the same time. So yeah. Um,
You're hosting and producing at the same time. Yes.
yeah. It's a little much, especially when you're dyslexic. So I'm kind of can read all the comments, but sometimes like,
Yeah.
what are they writing? All right. Yeah. I think I got all the, yeah, I guess she wrote it twice.
Oh, she
Anastasia
did.
one. Cause I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, well, she does say, can't wait to come back and thank you. Keep up the good work. So I
Oh,
do have
awesome.
a lot of people that are saying hello to you. So I'll just go through real
Yeah,
quick.
I have my phone. I'm surprised you can't hear my phone buzzing. It's buzzing right now. But I think the biggest thing for us, if you are reaching out to us, even at the info at Destination Casting, we have a lot of projects because I actually produced with Rhonda as well.
Mm,
We did. We have a feature. It's called January Love. We actually did a short for, and we've actually won a couple of festivals for that one. We have a new series called After the Game. So that one, I would
can't
say
wait
that
for
one's
that
really
one.
close. That one's real close to our heart because it's kind of athletes becoming actors. So it's meshing the two worlds. I have another film, a feature that I'm actually wrote and we're producing. We're actually just finished a proof of concept for, and I was going to say for that's an opportunity for people that are working to become working actors. Those proof of concepts, um, those series, when they're just shooting that pilot series, those opportunities are awesome opportunities to become a series regular or to become, a working actor because don't sleep on the indies. Don't sleep on those, don't sleep on those pilot presentations or those proof of concepts because a lot of times they'll keep their cast because you guys are telling a story that production team is trying to either get picked up or get funding for. So we have, like our film January Love, we just shot a proof of concept, a phenomenal cast with. So we're hoping, we're working on the funding for that we're going to keep the entire cast on that we use. So
And that's just a
those
great
are
way to
great
go
opportunities.
union.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse
Yeah.
me for,
Yeah.
so speak
It
on that a
definitely
little bit
is.
too. Because with,
Yeah, because what happens is when we shot the proof, which was a 1 day shoot, just a few scenes for a couple of things we've done. We of course did it non-union, but when we go to shoot the actual project, it will be union. So it's automatic.
it's a great way to get on the
Hmm.
union, whether you're working crew or cast for that matter,
Yeah.
too, because it's really hard
Hmm.
to get in for makeup sometimes to get in. So that's a great way also to get in is if you're working on an indie and they end up picking it up. And there you go.
Yep.
Two birds, one stone.
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, it was so nice speaking with you, January. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy day. Oh, wait, I have one more. Any
Okay.
resumes? There we go. That's the other one I had for you. Any
Mhm.
resume points you would also mention? Because some people I've heard if it's more than 5 years, take it off. But then
Mhm.
some are like, you should list everything you've ever done because you just never know, uh, how I mean, that speaks to your longevity as well as your commitment to the craft. How do you stand on that? What do you feel about
I
it?
think be selective as far as what you put on there, not necessarily looking at the time. So it depends on if you're a new actor, you want to make sure you have the education on there. You definitely don't want to put extra work. You want to be strategic as far as what you're putting on your resume. Because when I'm looking at a resume, because usually the resume is probably one of the last things I'm looking at. If,
Okay.
I'm on the fence about your tape, or, I'm on the fence if you can carry this role, especially if it's a lead, I'm going to the resume to see if you've been a lead anywhere else.
Okay.
So you want to make sure you have that listed on there, and don't lie, because we can look up the projects.
Right.
No point in lying about it. So you want to be very strategic as far as what you have on your resume, and not necessarily looking at the time. If you've done a lot, you want to make sure it's the meatiest roles, I would
Okay.
say, would go on there, because we're looking at, were they supporting, were they lead, were they co-star, what were they, a series regular, what were they on this particular project. So
Okay.
that does make a difference, especially if you're new.
And I've seen 2 different ways with even with that, where they might mention the character's name as opposed to whether they were a lead, star, co-star, or so on. Which do you
Mhm.
prefer? Would you rather they just write their co-star or their character name?
I would rather they put co-star lead. I would rather they put
Okay.
that, because I have no idea, if I'm not familiar with the project and I'm just looking at the resume, I have no idea who that role is.
Okay, updating
Anna
my
could
actor's
have just
access.
been the lady that walked across the street. Have no clue.
Very good point. Okay. And I have
Mhm.
one more question that just came through. Do you prefer actors to have a reel when they submit?
Actors should always have some type of media. So take the time to get your media together.
Okay.
So taking the opportunity, like I said, to do these smaller projects so you can get, good material, or creating your own, or at least having a stage shot, you have to have some type of media. Or even today, what's everybody's doing, these Instagram videos and these TikTok videos. That's when we go and lean on social media, because we say, hey, they don't have anything, but take a look at their social media.
Okay.
So you want to have you're an actor, you have to act somewhere. I mean, they want to see it.
Very valid point. Very valid point. And I just found this out myself. What is your time limit on reels? How long should they like what's your end point? Like they shouldn't be 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Definitely not. I'm probably not gonna look at it
Okay.
past probably 3 minutes,
Okay.
or I'll skip through it. So you want to. I'm not gonna look at something look past 3 minutes. I'm not,
Okay.
and I might not even look at the entire thing. I'm gonna scroll through to see, okay, what was this project? What type of role? What are they doing here? Okay, let me go ahead and fast forward to see what's next. What are they doing here? And a lot of people would put things on their reel, and it's not enough it's not enough of the scene or enough of them.
Mm,
And if I have to look at a reel and I'm like, wait, which one were you? Then you don't want to use that.
right.
I would rather you record a monologue. You'd rather do a
Okay.
self tape of a monologue than do that.
Good to know. And also, which websites do you post for actors to submit? Do they have to go through an agent? Oh, Goldie Bell just answered that question.
They don't have to go through an agent, because Actors Access, we're in the Southeast, so Actors Access is usually our go-to, but you have,
Okay.
other resources as well. But that's primarily where we will post, our breakdowns for any principal roles. But you don't have to have an agent for Actors Access. They're not funding this, so I'm not, I'm not getting paid for saying anything about them.
Right.
But you don't. However, having an agent does open you up to other breakdowns that are not being submitted to the open public.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Just making sure that's the last of the questions before I let you go. Because when we'll have this opportunity to talk to Miss January Curry?
Right, right here with you.
Like, I am so excited about this. So, thank you again for doing this because you're my first casting director I've had on my show. So, I feel like I should have
Right.
like a
Thank you,
bell for
thank you,
anything new. Anytime I have somebody
thank
new
you.
on the show. So, I think that's it. It's my software is amazing when it's not. It keeps telling me that I have a new message, but it won't let me scroll to it. So, I'm assuming whoever it is, sorry we didn't get to it. But
And they're coming up late on my side too. So once you
okay.
start telling me, we may pop up. It's okay. We're dealing with technology here.
And
We
there's
rely on it, but it's not reliable all the time.
no, it's not. And since there's so many people going live now, I think it's too
Hmm.
much on the
Yeah.
system, which is why I thought I chose a really good time, but then everybody else is starting to go live too. But luckily, not everybody's on Facebook, mainly on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I switched it up a little on them. But again, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out to be a part of the eSpot with me today. And I definitely have to thank Rhonda for introducing us to making this all happen. And I have to
Yes.
say that we all have to watch her short that's going to be on Aspire TV tomorrow.
Yes,
Last Looks.
definitely.
I don't know.
Last
Were you part of that as well?
I
Okay.
wasn't, but we're a team, so I'm all over that. So yes, make sure you guys watch that
Yes.
on Aspire.
Last Looks tomorrow on Aspire or Aspire. I'm saying it wrong. Sorry for that.
I said Aspire too. That might be the
Okay.
country in me. I said Aspire too.
I'm like, Aspire? I have no idea. I just know it's ASPIRE TV, so go check
Right.
it out. And again, thank you so much for
Thank you,
being
Camille.
on today, and I really appreciate it and look forward to seeing or working with you soon,
Yeah,
hopefully.
see, this is all about connecting, guys. So we have a new connection as well. Thank you,
Yeah.
Camille.
No, it was my pleasure. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your week. I can't believe it's already
Thank you too.
Monday. All right. Oh, and happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you. Are you a mother?
I am. I am. I have an
Oh,
11-year
well,
old.
happy belated Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
All right. Have a good rest of your week. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Bye bye. All right, guys. January was amazing. I think it's kind of funny. And I feel like I didn't bring this up to her, but my birthday is January 11th. And today is the 11th. And I have on January. What are the odds? It's like we were meant to be today. So weird. Anyway, as she mentioned, make sure you check out her website, her Instagram, Facebook, Destination Casting, or January D. Curry on Instagram or Facebook. I'll make sure that I have the actual links for you guys in the comments later on today. Or actually, it's evening for some places. So check that out. The rest of the week, I'm going to have a co host joining me tomorrow because I'm interviewing Sydney and Ami. I cannot wait for you guys to meet them. They're so cute. They're these two girls who host a talk show on Instagram with several different celebrities. Like you just never know who they're going to have. Every day they go live and they just have different people on with them. And they're so cute. Cannot wait for them to be my guest tomorrow. I will have my daughter joining me since we're talking to kids. I figure why not get a kid to ask questions and see what kind of questions she would come up with. Kids talking to kids, right? So we'll see. Anyway, so that's Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll have on Jessica Johnson from Queen Sugar, amongst many other films she's been on and TV shows. She was also in the movie Girls Trip. Cannot wait to have her on. She's also a big time influencer in New Orleans for the cooking scene. So I'm sure she's got some great food tips she can all give us whenever we happen to go back down to New Orleans for traveling. She'll be the lady to give us some tips as a local where to go eat. And then Thursday, I'm having on, they're called Parenting and Passports is their Instagram. I might be saying it backward. It might be Passports and Parenting. One of them, gosh, I do have my notebook right here. I don't know why I'm trying to do everything from memory when I have so much going on. Yes, Clarissa and her family will be on, and it's Passports and Parenting. They'll be here to talk about being an influencer, working with their family, and I'll have my daughter again for that one because there'll be children involved. And then Friday, I'm bringing back Gavin Nunn. He was my youngest guest I've ever had when I was working on the radio show, but that title was taken away during my pageant week when I had a 6-year-old. So he's my second youngest guest I've ever had. Gavin will be back and he'll be telling us some little deets about Raising Dion season 2 because it was picked up. So at least hopefully it's still going, but he can give us a little bit of information on Raising Dion 2 when we can maybe hopefully expect to see it on Netflix, or if they've even started filming. I'm not sure if they have. So we'll find out more from him on Friday. It's going to be a fun, action-packed week, another great week celebrating moms who work in the film industry or work with their children in the film industry. That's what this week is about. So make sure you're watching it with your mom, or you share with a mom, or share with anybody that works in the film industry who's ever asked you, hey, how do I get my kid in the film industry? This is their week because it's going to be all, for the most part, people that either work with children their own children or are actors that can give that advice from that point of view as well. All right. Again, thanks for tuning in to the E-Spot. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And on Mondays, oh, wait, I forgot. Tomorrow, I also have another 2 o'clock appointment because I'm doing a special E-Spotlight for Kidpreneur. It's a non-for-profit that is run by my good girlfriend, Tamika Young, who is a model, who's also a pageant. She also does pageants. She's going to be on talking about her non-for-profit Kidpreneur, which is a company that helps encourage kids be entrepreneurs. Yay! So during this time of pandemic, if your child has come up with a new product or is making something new and needs some advice on becoming an entrepreneur as a child, she's the one to talk to. She will be on tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Tamika Young. She's going to explain even more about the process, as well as explain being a model mom, because she does wear that hat so very well. She's absolutely gorgeous. Cannot wait for you guys to meet her. She'll be my 2 o'clock tomorrow. I almost forgot that I was doing 2 o'clocks this week because one, I had the dog grooming Monday this morning or this afternoon at 2. And then tomorrow will be Tamika talk about kidpreneurs. Because maybe you have a dog grooming kidpreneur. I don't know. Maybe my daughter will become a kidpreneur. Never know. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Tune in again tomorrow at 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock Pacific time, and then 6 o'clock the rest of the week. All right. See you guys then. Have a great night.